Getting back to what you actually discovered here, I mean, if I heard what you were saying earlier right, the news you got from the research is, in a certain way, reasonably optimistic. That is, people are continuing to farm without much regard for market forces. They are continuing to maintain. They aren't expanding in ways that might lead to their downfall in years of low prices or change in demand. I guess still the crops they've been raising for a very long time. I'm just wondering, I mean, was the picture of the kind of conservatism of agriculture that you were encountering, in a certain way, an optimistic picture?
I mean, I understand that perspective. I think a bigger issue is that it's largely older women who continue to farm. Now, I think on the one hand, that maybe that's not such a bad thing. So, in the United States, well, it had been 2% of the population still farms. I think it's now down to 1%. And you might just say that as an economy evolves and develops, that, farming will go by the wayside. You'll just have a couple big factory farms that feed everyone. And that, the ideal development trajectory is that we all get office jobs and work in the city. So you have to think, well, is this what's happening in Botswana? Is this just the normal course of development? Fewer and fewer people are going to farm. And Botswana, to its credit, does spend a lot on education. It has one of the highest literacy rates for a country in the tropics in the world. It's like 85%. So, I think there are many people in Botswana who would say that this should become a very highly educated population that will, Gaborone, the capital city, will become a financial hub and it will provide banking services for southern Africa. That's one vision. And I certainly think that could happen. But I think parallel to that, that form of development will always leave some people behind. And so if one is to think about a diverse economy, an economy that is concerned about the rural poor, about the urban poor, then I think there will be a continuing role for some form of agriculture. So I think what our research may end up showing is that agriculture is still important even in a highly successful middle-income African country. And it's important because it's a safety net for the poor, and that it's not acceptable to have people going hungry in that context. And I think even in the United States, there are some people that are beginning to think about agriculture in a very different way, that there's space for smaller scale agriculture, for organic agriculture. In the Twin Cities, we have a big Hmong community that traditionally farms, and a lot of them, you see them at farmers markets. And so that's another livelihood that we shouldn't necessarily sacrifice to a kind of modernist view of development.